Hey guys, this is Jeff. A lot of people would just throw an old dash cover like this away and order an aftermarket. But if you have a love for restoring something, you just want to rebuild it yourself. So I'm making this video to show guys my method for restoring and rebuilding an old dash cover like this one. It goes to a third generation Cami. Now, I hope it helps some of you out. So the first thing we're going to do is clean up these cracks. As you can see, they sort of bevel upward where they split at. It's normal, they all do that. You can probably get a good look at that there. It goes up into the air. We got to take that down. We got to smoothen it off, level it off, cut off the old broken parts. Then what we're going to do, we're going to fill this in with housing caulk. Good old-fashioned housing caulk. Nothing special about it. It's cheap, available pretty much everywhere, and we're going to spread that out with a Bondo spreader. We're going to smoothen it off. Then we're going to paint this sucker. These guys here, we're going to cut these off and put in some pieces of coat hanger wire. When we paint over that with a small roller, it'll fill it in and it'll look more like it used to. It's not going to have these pieces that connect it sideways, but it's still is going to look pretty good. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've cut all of these broken pieces that cover the speakers up. What we're going to do, we're going to take the coat hanger wire, we're going to melt them right in to the tips here. Just heat them up and melt them right in, grab a hold of it. The other side, same story. There's pieces of it down there. There's plenty, and it's going to line it up. Melting them in there is going to line it up, it's going to hold it just long enough until we finish and then paint over it. The paint's going to seal everything up. And what we're going to use, 25-year exterior latex, because it's tough, it's durable, holds up to the sun, and it still stays semi-flexible, which is what you want, without having to spend a bunch of money on products that are guaranteed to fix this, but you end up spending just as much as you would if you simply bought a new one. In this case, it's a lot cheaper. You got to put a lot of love and time into it, but like I said earlier, restoring the stuff, you're going to restore it, not just buying new stuff. If you're just buying new stuff, go get a new car. Alright, so I finished cutting all of these bad pieces out. Now it's nice and flat. This one here is not lifted up too bad. I think I'll just be able to sand that down. So that one's going to stay. But the rest of it, nice and flat. Removed all the warped pieces. And we've cut out our speaker holes. Next step is fill it in with caulk. Spray it out with a Bondo spreader. Keeps it kind of smooth. This right here is going to be the tricky part. Putting that curve in it. Trying to make it look like it's supposed to. Okay. We've got our caulk pumped out. We've got it laid out where we're going to need it. Now we're just going to spread it out with the Bondo spreader. And what you're going to find, larger areas like here, here, and here, they're going to shrink overnight. The caulk is going to shrink and it's going to sink in a little bit. It's not a problem. I mean, you're not going to do this job in one day. Obviously, caulk's going to take time to cure. It needs 24 hours at least. And of course, when it sinks in, just fill it up, spread it back over with the Bondo spreader, give it another day. Okie-doke. We have got the caulk spread out. We've got it filled in pretty nice. When you're spreading it out with a Bondo spreader, as long as you haven't cut the vinyl wider than your spreader, as long as, and you're not pushing down too hard because they are flexible. But you just push down gently. It, for the most part, keeps it flush and level. Just about like that. And of course, touching up by hand, just like that, all the way around. It's turned out all right. I'm satisfied with it. Like I said, areas like here, I'm gonna have to go back over. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. I made a booby right there. I'm just gonna wait until it cures. Come back, fill that in. And a little bit here, I'm gonna have to do the same, but I expected that. For the most part, this piece here turned out all right. It filled in nice. But, wait till it cures, put on a second layer, wait for that to cure, sand it down, make sure it's real nice and clean. Then we will melt in our coat hanger wire. We're going to coat it, and then we'll seal the whole thing up with a good quality exterior latex. Okay, so I've been cutting out my coat hanger wire. Instead of melting them in there, I decided just to stick them up underneath, push them through. So right at the bottom, even it back off. Bam. Last time I did this was on a Ford F-150 dash. I had to melt the wire in there, but I figured I'd give this a shot. And they're almost the perfect size anyway. I think it's going to look all right. So no melting necessary, just shove them right into the foam up underneath. Looks good. All right, on this one here, there's a big chunk of the plastic that broke off. Not plastic, the vinyl. And what I'm going to do, because there's not really a lot to hold it in place, I cut this one a little bit longer. Let's see if I can work that in. Get it to hold the way I want it to. Don't know how deep I can work into that. There we go. Wonder if maybe I should have done this one first. And pull it back the other way. Awesome. There we go. This side's done. Now the slight difference in size, I'm not going to be worried about it. Because when I get ready to paint this thing, I'll take the brush lightly with very little paint in the brush and go sideways. What that'll do is it'll catch on the edges, make it look a little bit thicker. As long as it can be even, that's all that matters. And underneath, when we're done with everything, take a little piece of window screen and just glue up under it. That way, if you drop a penny or something on your dash, it gets in there. The speaker's not rattling around making all kinds of rackets. All right, so it's been a couple of days. Let's see the progress we got going on. This one here, it felt like I was going to have to add another layer of caulking, but I figured I'd scrape some of this off and found out it just lumped over the edges. It's nice and smooth all the way across. So what I was doing, taking a flat blade, just scraping along, pulling away from the caulk, just like that. Taking my time, no need to rush this. You want it to look good. Take your time with it. But just like that, and that is nice and smooth. That's what we're after. Okay, guys. So, oh, I got you upside down. No, no. So, the caulk is dried. I've taken the blade to it, cleaned it up really nice. This is incredibly level. That's exactly what we wanted. Now what I'm doing, taking some sandpaper to it, I'm roughing up this vinyl so our paint has something solid to stick to. It's sanding real nice. Get it nice and rough so that paint will stick. Get up underneath it. As we're going to be painting top and the bottom, not all of the bottom, but all the vinyl anyways. So that's how we're going along. Not bad at all. This is going to be the tricky spot, but I'll show you what I do with it. Alright, here's what I'm doing. And just a little bit of paint up on a brush. Well, tap it in, spread it out. You don't want thick gobs of paint. What we're doing, filling in those little crevices where these pieces of coat hanger wire fit up into the vinyl, kind of give it a tapering effect. And we're going back and forth, like I had mentioned. What that's going to do is going to build up the edges. We're going to do this a couple of times. So when we go and paint, we're going to use a roller. The roller is going to do two things. It's going to give us a texture, and it's going to make sure we don't wind up with brush strokes. But we're going to use the brush to get into tight crevices so everything is a uniform color. When we're done, you're going to be impressed. You're going to like the way it looks. So here's what we've got going on so far. We finished all of our caulking, smoothened it off, put a couple layers on with a brush. And you're going to have streaks everywhere. Oh, I can still see where the caulk was at. That's where this comes into play. This is going to give it the texture that you expect to see in a dashboard. And it's going to put it on a little bit thicker. So it's going to fill in all those little scratches. You're going to have to put 3 or 4 coats on, but that's what you're going to end up with. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? And the type of paint that we're using, we got a 25-year exterior latex. It's tough stuff. I've done this several times. I did it to a Ford pickup once. I know it lasted at least 4 years. People throwing their feet up on the dashboard, throwing CDs on the dashboard, keys, whatever. And there's a lot that goes into that. But when you don't spend $300 on a new dash cover, you're less likely to get angry about people throwing shit up on it. All right, so here's what we're looking at. I put a couple of coats of this 25-year exterior latex with the roller. Take a look at the texture. This is just awesome. I still got a little spot right there I'm not too crazy about. But the rest of this thing is just turning out fantastic. Now the speaker cover area may not turn out quite like I had hoped, but it still looks pretty good. It's uniform, both sides, and that's what we're interested in. Keeping it uniform.
Come on, let's put some comedy in it. Maybe.
All right, we put our final coat of latex on this, and look, you can hear that texture. It feels awesome. Everything turned out great. Even this right there is so minor. I am not worried about that. This thing turned out fantastic. Now what we're going to do, we're going to flip her over, and we're going to put some window screen underneath these speaker holes. This thing turned out awesome. I am happy. I am very happy.